Dragons. It is your girl Lindsay here with the Spine Bookshop with another episode of the Spine Bookcast. We are winding up the season. We have this episode and then we have our season finale. And so I'm really excited to introduce you to one of my authors, Mark Gibson. I'm going to let him introduce himself and tell us what he likes to write.
Good morning. What do I like to write? Oh, God. Checks? No. I'd rather sign those, but that doesn't happen very often.
Right.
My books are the two that I've written, A Song That Never Ends and Roses in December, would both be considered historical fiction, epic family sagas. They're very true to life. They don't require a lot of disbelief or putting your mind on hold to read, and they're kind of fun.
That is fantastic. I have yet to read them, but they are on my list. I never have time to read the amount of books that I want to read. So let's start with the question that we always get into. How did you get into reading?
Into reading? Oh my God. I was a really bookish kid, and I was always had my nose in a book constantly. If we were traveling somewhere, I was in the back seat, curled up, reading a book. At nighttime, I was under the covers with my flashlight, reading a book. And I've read everything through the years. If there's a genre, I've probably read it.
I feel that. I feel that in my soul. So what was one of your favorite books as a kid?
As a kid, oh boy. One that I read over and over and over again was Zane Grey's The Last Trail.
Okay. What's that about?
It was set in the frontier days.
Mm-hmm.
I think in probably the Ohio Territory before it became a state. And it follows Jonathan Zane and Lou Wetzel, who are frontiersmen, and they spent a lot of time protecting this fort.
Okay.
And they go on a lot of adventures. It was just a fun book to read and reread and reread and then reread.
How old were you when you first read it?
Oh, I think probably the first time I might have been 8 or 9.
Okay.
And I probably read it the last time when I was in high school.
Now,
the cool thing is that every time you read something like that, you pick up on little nuances
absolutely.
that you missed before that completely flew over the head of an 8-year-old.
Oh, absolutely. I've read To Kill a Mockingbird probably half a dozen times, and I get something
book.
new every single time I read it. Like, every time. So who introduced you to the book, or did you just happen to find it, or like how did that happen?
It was actually a book that my dad had when he was a kid.
Uh-huh.
And we found a big box of books that he had in his bedroom. And I just kind of went through and started reading every bloody one of them.
I mean, that's definitely a goal. That's so funny. So what are you reading now?
Right now I'm reading Extinction by... Oh, God. I'm blanking on the author.
Let me see.
Thank you. Bless you.
Oh, yeah.
I hate when the brain...
Is it Douglas Preston?
Pause. Yes, Douglas Preston.
Okay, yeah.
I've enjoyed a lot of his work recently, along with Lincoln Child.
Yeah, oh, I love the Lincoln Child series.
They team up and do some phenomenal characters.
Okay.
And it's just, again, fun to read.
Yeah. Okay.
And it beats the heck out of reading medical stuff, which is what I usually have to read.
So when you say medical stuff, tell everybody what you actually do, because I think this is amazing.
My day job, I'm a cardiologist.
Which is just astounding to me. He gets to play with people's hearts.
And it's a lot of fun, but I think I get, well, I've done cardiology for a long time, and it's exciting, it's fun to help people and all that sort of thing. But a lot of times on a daily basis, you really don't see any result from what you did.
Sure.
You treat somebody's high blood pressure, their cholesterol, their whatever. They hate the pills, and you know that you have prevented them from having a heart attack or a stroke 20
Sure.
years from now, but they don't like it. It's not fun.
Right.
Whereas if I write something, it's concrete. It's there in front of me.
Sure.
I can see at the end of the day that I've actually done
Sure.
something, which is really very neat. And then the other part of that is all day long, I'm stuck using the left half of my brain.
Mm-hmm.
It is so neat to just exercise the right side of the brain
Sure.
with a little bit of creativity. It just makes the day go better, and writing's kind of turned into therapy for me.
All right, so I got a question for you. So I know that when my stepfather would watch war movies or airplane movies, it used to drive him crazy because he'd sit there, that's not what that plane looks like. That plane couldn't do that. That's not the correct paint job, So do you ever watch, read medical fiction or watch medical dramas and that kind of stuff and have that moment of, that is not how that works?
I roll my eyes every time Grey's Anatomy comes in the air.
It's one of my favorite shows.
It's entertaining, but oh my God, if it was even remotely like that,
Yeah.
not a chance. As for medical, there's not a lot of really good medical literature out there.
Have you ever read Coma by, is it Michael Crichton?
Michael Crichton? Yes.
God, that book. And then I watched the movie with Michael Douglas. Holy crap, that movie just freaked me out.
Crichton was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think I've liked everything that he put out, and I wish he was still alive.
Me
and
too.
writing.
The only book that I didn't like by Michael Crichton, and it's kind of what got me stuck on sci-fi, is what's the one where they go down to Africa and it's about the diamond mines and the gorillas, and it's that's gonna drive me crazy. But I remember I read the book and he went into so much science that it was just so far above my head. And I just remember going, okay, and I wasn't enjoying it because it made me feel stupid. Congo, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wanted to enjoy the book because I watched the movie and it was really, really good, but the book was just up here and my brain is here.
But
And
the cool thing with Crichton is he can take that very detailed scientific stuff and usually boil it down to something that is a cool story, whether it is genetic engineering with Jurassic Park, or whether it is time travel with...
I've got his books. Hold up. Hang on.
Yeah.
There's Travel or Terminal Man.
This one was...
I didn't know that he wrote Twister.
Yeah.
I did not know that. The Andromeda Crisis? Is that...
And the Andromeda strain is about a viral...
Is the Terminal Man the one that you're talking about with the time travel?
No.
Or is it Sphere? Sphere's the one that takes place in the ocean.
Spheres under the ocean.
Okay. Yeah, this is what happens when you do a podcast about books. You have to sit here with your phone and look up titles because you've read so many you can't remember. Timeline. Is that the one?
Timeline.
They made a movie out of that one too. God, I sound like such a movie nerd.
And
But
that's a bad thing?
no, it's not. But it's just really funny because
Movies are just books brought to life.
Well, I would tell you, so I always had a hard time reading science. And so after I read Congo, I was like, I'm not reading any more science fiction because it was so hard for me to understand the science. But then Andy Weir started writing. And then we have an author, Dan Adam, who I give a shout out to him all the time. He managed to take time travel and space and you know, all that kind of stuff, and break it down to where it was kind of, okay, I'm following what you're doing. And so, like, he had me read the third book as a beta read, and that was his main question is, do you understand the science of what I'm trying to explain here? And I was like, yeah, I get what you're saying. Or I would like, okay, well, this part kind of lost me, but I get what you're saying. But, you know, and so he reignited my love of science fiction again, because Dan was able to tell a hellaciously phenomenal story. I tell everybody it needs to be a TV series or like a 3 movie deal or something, because the visuals in that book are so good, and I've never seen anything like it. And I would love to see the visuals of how that got interpreted to a film. Kind of like Andy Weir's what's the one? They just made it, and it's got Ryan Gosling in it. That Project Hail Mary. I cannot wait.
That should be very good.
Yeah.
The Martian was very good.
Oh, I loved it.
What was his other one? Not Andromeda.
No, hang on.
It starts with an A.
Yeah, I'll think of it in a minute.
Yeah.
But so we watched the movie The Martian, and I was like, this movie is hilarious. But then the very first line of the book is, I am so fucked. And I was like, anything that starts that way, you just want to know, okay, what, and then some of the other lines in the dialogue, like, I'm a space pirate, and, you know, I've, what does he say? I'm the agricultural of Mars, or something like some of the lines in that are hilarious. And I've discovered that Andy Weir does that. He puts in lines that are just.
With each of his books, it's phenomenal. I've read a bunch of his short stories too, and they're really.
See, now I haven't read any short stories yet. Dan wrote a short story and sent it to me just to read it, and I texted him back and I said, "That's it?" And he said, "Yeah." And I was like, "What the hell? Now I want to know more what happened." He's like, "Nope." So yeah, I love a good writer that can leave you wanting more. Mm-hmm. And all of Dan's, I want more. And although he did wrap up the Leaving Earth series, New Home in the Rift, wrapped it up perfectly. It was great. But I'm still like, but I want some spin-off stories. And same thing. So I'm really curious to see, if you've read Project Hail Mary, you know there's an alien that speaks in musical notes. And so I went back and looked at the book, because I listened to it. Because the guy that narrates it is one of Dan's favorite narrators for audiobooks. And I've listened to 3 or 4 by that guy, and I can't think of what his name is, but he did a phenomenal job.
I thought so too.
And I was really curious to see what the aliens' language looked like in print, because they would make the noises on the audiobook. And so I'm always curious. I'm really curious to see how they're going to do that in the film and what it's going to look like, because the way it's described, it's like a big giant spider.
A spider with 5 sides.
Yeah. So I'm really curious to see the interpretation of that. So if you could make your books into movies, have you thought about doing that?
I think just about everybody who's written a book probably has at one point or another.
Do you have a cast list?
Me.
All right, so let's have it.
Oh, heavens. It's difficult because it's a 2-book series, so it covers 100 years of time.
Sure.
So it would be a very large cast if you put both of them in the same one.
Yeah.
There is a character named Maggie or Margaret Hamilton that I actually think Katherine Heigl would probably have done a very nice job with that.
Okay.
That character was a lot of fun to write because it's a negative character arc.
Yeah.
It starts out as a person that you kind of like, and then by the end, you're very happy to see her fate.
Yes. Okay.
And I think Heigl could probably pull that off very nicely.
Okay.
There is Jimmy or James. Actually, Ryan Gosling would probably do a nice job with either the father, who was Jimmy, or the son, who was James Jr. in the second book.
Okay.
And, of course, I loved the movie version of The Notebook. So,
oh, my God.
I would have to cast her as his love interest
Sure,
again.
sure.
I think the chemistry would have been there.
That's funny that you say generational. So, they cast Donald Sutherland in The Hunger Games as Snow, right?
Right.
And so then they wrote the prequel, which I'm working my way through when I find time to read. And so everybody's been like, Kiefer Sutherland needs to play him.
Kiefer's too old now.
Right, but they can DH him. They DH
Yeah.
everybody. But you want to talk about making someone look like the previous, and then like you've got, gosh, I'm not going to be able to think of his name now. Married to Goldie Hawn. What's his name?
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell. His son was in The Boys. Or not The Boys. Was it The Boys? The one... No, it was the Marvel movie where he played the new Captain America, but like did a dumpster fire job. Just... I hated him so much. But I think that's his son. And they were in a TV show or a movie, and he played his son, and Kurt Russell played his dad, and like when he was a young man versus when he was old. It's crazy how much they look alike.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I just think that's such a cool trend to start doing in movies when you're doing a young man, old man, or a young woman, old woman. Put your kid in there. I mean, they did it with young Sheldon. So,
Yeah.
I just think that's so neat. So, let's see. What book have you read that hasn't been turned into a movie that you would love to see turned into a movie?
Yeah, sometimes I really wish I had the question list before, because there are so many phenomenal books out there.
Oh, I know, but I like catching you off guard.
And you're doing a fine job of it. I give you props. Let me get back to you on that one.
Okay.
Because I have to collate the things that I've read versus the things that I know have been movies already, and that's going to require a little more computational power than I'm up to this morning.
Sure, that's fine. So, what are you working on now, book-wise? Are you working on any other books? Are you writing anything?
I have 2 works in progress. One is a companion piece to the 2-part Hamilton Play series
Okay.
That I'd mentioned before. The title for that one is Until They're Home.
Okay.
And it takes a couple of the peripheral characters from the Hamilton Play series and gives you a lot of their backstory and how they contributed to...
Are they like novellas or are they actual big novels?
It will probably be novel length.
Okay.
I'm about 50-ish thousand words into it now.
Okay.
And usually a novel will be between 50 and 90,000 for this
Sure.
particular genre.
Sure.
The other work I'm rather excited about, it's called The Bestseller.
Okay.
CELLAR.
Oh, Lord.
And it is a fellow who owns a combination bookshop wine store and starts writing.
Okay.
So a lot of other information with that. He former cardiologist. But he feels responsible for his wife's death
Oh, no.
and can no longer practice medicine because of that.
Sure.
And sort of as a penance, he takes over his wife's bookshop
Aw.
and starts going to therapy, and his therapist recommends that he start journaling.
Okay.
And the journaling turns into a manuscript, and the manuscript turns into a bestseller.
Nice.
And of course, the name of his bookshop is The Bestseller.
I love that
See.
so much.
So,
That's fantastic.
but that one, if I can pull it off, I think has the potential to be phenomenal.
Cool.
It'd be more of a contemporary
Sure.
fiction.
Sure. So is that what you like to write is like just contemporary fiction, not like horror or science or anything? You like contemporary fiction?
I like historical fiction. I like contemporary fiction. I like things that, again, don't require one to put their belief system on hold.
Okay.
I like for them to be able to think through it and kind of understand it and feel the things that are going on.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, yeah, I can write something from the 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
People have some idea of that.
Sure.
But if I write something from the 20th or 21st century, more people are going to be able to identify with it that much easier. I don't think that I have the imagination to come up with a whole new world, so sci-fi is definitely out there for me.
Sure.
I love reading it, but there is no way in the world that I could pull it off myself.
Yeah. I don't know. You could do like a medical sci-fi. Really mess people up about the future.
My patients are already scared enough to come see me.
Yeah.
I don't need to make it worse.
Oh, yeah. No, you could be like that dentist from the Feed Me Seymour Little Shop of Horrors. Holy crap. Like Steve Martin, except for hearts.
Here's that, yes.
Oh, that's funny. So, do you have a favorite book as an adult that you've read that surprised you that you liked? You know, like you go into a reading book and you're thinking, I don't know, this is for me. And then you end up being just loving the hell out of it.
I generally love about everything that I'm reading as I'm reading it.
Mm-hmm.
And have I had any that have just completely floored me? I didn't really think that I would have liked weird stuff, but I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I loved his first-person perspective. I loved the inner monologues. I loved the science. I loved the explanations.
Mm-hmm.
It was just really fun to read.
Yeah.
Artemis.
Artemis. That's the book.
Thank you. I knew it started with an A.
God, I knew it was going to rattle loose.
And it's completely, you know, they're on Mars, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
But I don't think that I could pull that off.
Mm-hmm.
I could probably do a story about how they built the spaceship, but I don't think that
What
I
do you
could
think
get it
makes
to a
his
different
book
world.
so special for you?
Very early on, you care about the characters,
Mm-hmm.
and you know exactly what they're thinking,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just kind of there. Okay, what in the world is going to happen next?
Yeah.
And it's just so well written.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are a number of popular books out there that aren't really well written. They're good stories.
Oh, yeah.
But the prose isn't great.
Oh, yeah.
I think with Weir, his science is outstanding. His prose is good. His concepts are incredible.
Yeah.
And wildly disparate.
Yeah. The kind of books that you're talking about where, like, you know it's just garbage, but it's entertaining anyway. I call it crappertainment.
Yeah.
Because I know it's garbage, and don't come for me, but the Twilight series, I went into that series knowing that this was going to be garbage, and I freaking love it, and I've read it at least 2 or 3 times, and I love the movies. The movies are like my rainy day, Saturday, I'm not leaving the house, I'm going to sit on my jammies in my blanket and watch all of them. And I know they're crap. They're not going to win an Academy Award, but they're so entertaining. Yeah, crappertainment.
They're not really well written.
No, they're not. I will say though, I stand by this. I had a problem with the first movie because it rushed through the entire Bella and Edward getting to know each other phase to get to the conclusion. Whereas in the book, even though it's not well written, there are all these intimate little moments that are non-sexual, but that are them getting to know each other and them figuring out each other, that I think in the book made that more relatable.
Yeah.
And so I went to go watch the movie and it was like, did you read the book?
No, when you're trying to take 130, 140,000 words and condense that into a movie script that's going to run for 2 hours, 2 hours and 10 minutes, things get left out, things get cut. Sometimes these stories that made a lot of sense in print just get rushed. And
I will say, so I read Where the Crawdads Sing, which is actually a banned book, which just blows my mind. And so I remember thinking that it was the most beautifully written book about the Carolinas and nature and the swamp area, and the story is just beautifully written. It is it made me fall in love with the Carolinas all over again, which I didn't think was possible because I love them. Because I've been to Charleston, I've been to Asheville, I've been to that whole area. I've driven around that whole area multiple times, and that book is a beautiful book. And so when I heard they were doing the movie, and my friend Jess and I were both like, no, don't do that because you're going to mess it up. You cannot do this movie the right way. And so we went to go watch it. And I remember being flabbergasted that somebody had to have read this book and loved it because the movie was phenomenal. It was a fantastic adaptation. And I just remember both of us sitting there at the end going, well, that was amazing. Holy shit. Somebody did a really good job with that. Because that was not what we expected.
I think the ones that really bug me are the ones that change the story so much. You look at The Firm. Very different ending for the book versus the movie.
Yeah.
Where the hell did that come from?
I don't know.
And how in the world, well, Grisham got a big check, but
sure.
How in the world does anybody allow that? It just completely changed.
Well, now, have you listened to the sequel to The Firm?
No.
Okay, so I listened to the sequel to The Firm, and I was really expecting it to be fantastic. Sorry, John Grisham, I really love you. I really do, but Jesus, it was boring. Because, you find out what happens to Mitch and Abby, and he's now working for a law firm in New York, and he's escaped all of the stuff in Memphis by the skin of his teeth, and throughout the book, you find out what's happened to them. And he gets put on this lawsuit with the Middle East over this bridge that was put over this lake that doesn't exist. I mean, it was this whole convoluted thing, right? And the project didn't get done. And so they have to go over there and, negotiate this whole lawsuit. And then he gets food poisoning and his partner gets kidnapped. And she's a female, and she's the daughter of the CEO of this law firm, and it's all about this hostage negotiation. And you're just kind of going, okay. And then it ends, and it's just, okay. That was very dry.
The books of Grisham that I think I've liked the most were those set in Canton, Mississippi. I think that's where his sweet spot has been.
A Time to Kill, and then the sequel, Sycamore Row, and then I have the third one, A Time for Peace, and then I also have the whatever the town is, something stories, and it's stories that are out of it. Oh my gosh, that's my favorite. It's my favorite. The A Time to Kill is immensely tragic and brilliantly written, but there's also some scenes that are funny as shit.
Yeah.
That just...
Well, you have to throw... When you have a book that's that deep, you need to throw in, lighter moments. Otherwise, you're going to have your reader slitting their wrist.
Yeah, right?
So, throw them a bone every now and then. Make them laugh.
Well, I feel, and I don't know if John Grisham, I'm sorry. I don't know if John Grisham, how he would respond to this. But so, in To Kill a Mockingbird, the guy didn't do it, right? And he goes to prison and he ends up trying to escape and they shoot him, right? But in A Time to Kill, he did do it, and they let him off because of one line that he says, now imagine she's white. And I love how both of those books deal with race and criminal trials and have completely different outcomes, but it's still about the same subject.
Yeah.
And I just think that that's like his answer to Kill a Mockingbird is like maybe his answer to, or I'm sorry, A Time to Kill is his answer to Kill a Mockingbird, because when I read To Kill a Mockingbird, my 15-year-old brain was so damn angry that he died at the end trying to escape because he knew he was innocent, and every one of those people knew he was innocent, and the injustice of it. And then I remember reading A Time to Kill thinking, if he does not get off, I am going to be so pissed. I will write John Grisham a letter. But I love that books, and it's possibly one of the reasons that I love books so much, is because you can be sitting there and you don't know these people and they're made up, but you feel so possessive over their stories. And there's the train. If you guys follow us at all, there's the train. Every time a train goes by, it feels very like Whistle Stop Cafe to me. It's the coolest thing.
Not a bad thing.
No, I love it. Lloyd, every time Lloyd, who's one of our authors, comes over here, he just is enamored by the train. It's really cute. Don't come for me, but it is. It's really cute.
Going back to what you were saying about authors and characters, I think the best books are the ones that do get you to buy into the characters. That you feel what the character feels.
Yeah.
You get so sucked into their world, you just want more. You want more. You want more. Mm-hmm. And then it's over, and well, there should be another page here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. There's a quote, and I cannot remember who it's by, but it's like, you've read a good book when you finish the book and you feel like someone's died.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Like Othello is one of my favorite. It is my favorite Shakespeare play. And when you get to the end and everything goes to hell in the most tragic way possible, every time I have to go like sit in a corner and just like, damn it, And I love, Adam is my husband. Sometimes it's like, you realize it's just a book. You shut your mouth. It's not just a book.
Just a book.
It's never just a book,
Shame on you.
Right? And I love a good horror novel. Not in the axe murder kind of horror novel, but like in the, except for Salem's Lot. That book just fucks me up every time I've read it. I have to go watch like Looney Tunes during certain scenes. I have to put the book down because, we're done. I need a minute. But like Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
That scares the crap out of me because that crap's real. Mm-hmm. That is the kind of scary stuff that I love to read because it's possible.
I'll throw another one there. The Exorcist back in the
Oh
day.
my God, that book is so freaking terrifying. Holy crap, that book messed me up. I watched the movie and it scared the crap out of me and still does. The thing where she's coming down the stairs like every time. I know it's coming and it gives me the heebie-jeebies.
And virtually everything that Stephen King
Everything. The Shining, I've been in the hotel.
Oh, cool.
There's a tour and you like go to the elevators and your initial reaction is nope. And then they take you through the room that's in the movie and I'm just like, I'm not going in the bathroom. Nope. No, thank you. I know it's in there. No, thank you. But yeah, we got to go to the hotel.
If you see twins coming down the hall, run.
Yeah, no. We want to play. No, I don't want to play with nobody. So.
Funny thing is that Stephen King hates the movie adaptation.
Oh, absolutely hates it. But did you see Dr. Sleep?
No.
I honestly feel like Dr. Sleep damn near made a better movie. Because you've got this group of people that are like Danny, and they suck the special out of people. So, and that's what they're just like soul suckers. I can't remember what he calls them in the book, but it's terrifying because the main bad guy is a woman who I really love her and like everything I've seen her in, and she is just menacing as shit in that movie. Like Kathy Baker level menacing in her very quiet, scary, just sinisterness about her. And I love that Stephen King can do that. Stephen King is right up there with the showrunner for Doctor Who, Stephen Moffat.
Yeah.
They are so good at taking something so innocuous like an angel statue or, you know, a dog, and making them the most terrifying fucking thing on the planet, that while you're reading the book, you're just like, nope, this is not for me. I'm not going to Colorado. I'm not driving in the snow. I don't want to live near a cave with a dog and not going to look at statues in the build. Nope, no, thank you, not for me.
Something that I've enjoyed with King and several other authors, but I love when the author gives a nod to one of his prior works, just to kind of weave it into the narrative for this story.
Well, there's this whole theory that Stephen King has, I think, confirmed. And if you're listening, correct me because I'm not sure. But the Dark Tower, Christine, Carrie, The Stand, like all of those, you know, are all connected in the same world. And just like Dr. Sleep, the Shining, like all of that is all connected, and it's like all part of and I was just like, did he think that out? Like, and that's how he set out to write that? Because that's brilliant.
Yeah.
That is absolutely phenomenal long-term planning. Like, just...
All I can say is I'm glad that Derry, Maine doesn't really exist.
Nope. No.
I want to be as far from there as possible.
That's right up there with like Jessica Lansbury, that if they show up into town, I am leaving, because every time Jessica Lansbury comes to town in Murder, She Wrote, somebody dies.
Nothing could happen.
No, not ever. Like, nope. And I think there are some writers that, like John Grisham, you know it's probably going to be a legal thriller. Stephen King, you know it's probably going to be this scare the shit out of you, you know. And I love sometimes when you pick up a book, you know what you're getting into. And you're like ready for it. And then other times I'll pick up a book like one of our authors, Emily... Oh, I can never think. Don't come for me, Emily. I'm really sorry. Emily Barlow did Involuntarily Immortal, and she wrote it, and it's about a woman. I think she's like a witch, and she's cursed, right? And I remember starting the book going, I love Emily, but I'm not sure that this book is for me. And I kept getting, I was like, but I'm going to read it because it's one of our local author books. I'm going to read it. And the more I read it, the more I was like, where the hell are we going? I have no idea where this book is going. And it got into like ancient gods from Egypt, like the old gods, from the Middle East. And it was just, I'm like, this is awesome. This is so awesome. Because I had no clue where it was going. And I loved that, like, until the very end when it ends and you're, holy shit, that was awesome. And I even remember texting her, okay, dude, great book. Like, fantastic. Had no idea where you were going with it. Totally took me by surprise. I was here for it the whole way. And it would make a phenomenal movie. The visuals in it.
I think a series of books really surprised me that I'm sure will turn into a movie at some point, that it's outside of what I would typically read, but I really enjoyed it.
Sure. Was
the whole A Court of Thorns and Roses, etc. That whole series, I'm a cardiologist, for God's sake. Do I think about fairies on a daily basis? No. But damn, that was good.
I know! During COVID, I worked from home well before of COVID, and then COVID happened, and before I got laid off, I was trying to shelter in place. I was doing my part, staying, on the weeks that I had my kid, we would stay home all day. She'd do school, and I stayed home. And I'm an extrovert. Anybody knows me knows I'm an extrovert.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
You can't mean it.
And I remember sitting in my house like, if I do not get the fuck out of my house. Like, I was sick of looking at my backyard. I was sick of looking at my house. I'd go sit on the front porch for a different view. And I would come home sometimes and my husband like, you want to go for a drive? Yes! Just get me out of the house! And I was bitching about it on TikTok, like, I can't read a book because I can't get out of my house. And I was in this really bad reading slump, which you would think would be a great time to read. But if you can't get out of your house, the last thing you want to do is sit in your house and read. And so someone sent me the first book. And I was like, okay. And then the next day I ordered like $150 in books, and a box about the size of a small car showed up on our front porch. And my husband goes, what did you do? No. I now have a project. And I read every single thing that she read. And I, for a month and a half, no, I'm good. I'm reading. Whoever sent me the first book, God bless you, because it got me out of my reading slump, and I started devouring books again. And it got me into that, my morally terrible, bad moral judgment and rooting for the villain, because the villain, I love that quote that go for the villain. Because the good guy is going to sacrifice you to save the world, whereas the villain is going to sacrifice the world to save you. Here for it. Let's do it. Give me that art. Give me the bad guy that you really hate and think is a deplorable, horrible person. But by the end of it, he's in love with this one girl, and he will mow you down if you even look at her funny. That is what I'm into right now. That is my reading.
That's cool.
So yes, the whole series. Have you read the Throne of Glass series?
No.
Okay, well, you should. It's fantastic. And then I'm on the second book in the Crescent City series. Also, phenomenal world building. Like, so good. So good. I could absolutely see those in a movie, though. All of them are banned. Every single one.
Well, of course they are.
Of course they are.
Heaven forbid you have a sex scene in a book.
Oh, my God. Well, we have sex scenes in the Bible, and that's okay. And don't come for me. I love the Bible. I've read it. But
Whole Song of Solomon.
I wish that people could take books as a whole, as opposed to reading a book, having one scene that's maybe 2 or 3 pages, and going, "Oh my God, clutch my pearls. Oh, this is profane." Life is profane. Yeah. Life is horrible sometimes. And I feel like, for me, things in my life, had I not had the books that I had, I would not have been able to cope with the things that I've gone through. Because it gave me that tool to go, okay, that's like John Green's Turtles All the Way Down. And if you've listened to me on the podcast, you've heard this before. I have a tattoo of a turtle. Because when I got diagnosed with anxiety and depression, and especially anxiety more so than depression, it was very hard for me to articulate how I would have one little thought and it would grow just insanely out of control to just the most stupidest thing that would absolutely never happen. And it's irrational, but your brain is telling you need to have a stroke because this is going to happen and you're going to die and and trying to explain it to my husband, how the panic would just drive me over the edge, and trying to explain how my brain got from here to here. I didn't have the words. Like, I did not have the verbiage. Well, Turtles All the Way Down is about a girl, 16, 17-year-old girl who has OCD and anxiety, and she calls them thought spirals. And in the first chapter or 2, she talks about she's a germaphobe, about how her thought spirals about how there's bacteria in my body and there's germs. And by the time she gets done with the thought spiral, she's, got sepsis and is dying in a hospital. And I remember going, oh my God, that's what my brain does. That thought spiral. That's what it is. And I remember running into my husband and shoving this book in his face. You have to read this paragraph right here, right now. I'm watching football. I don't care. And he read it and he's okay. And I was like, this is the thought spiral. That is what my brain does. I now have a word for what my brain does. And it was amazing to me that somebody else got that and was able to put it in words so that people like me could go, ah,
That's me.
and then I watched the movie and I was absolutely terrified because the book is so special to me. And so when I heard they were doing a movie, I was absolutely like, no, don't do that. You'll ruin it. I'm going to be really pissed because that's an important book. And if you mess up that movie, I will be biblically angry. And so I waited till I was home by myself one day and I had 3 hours. I knew nobody was going to call me. Nobody was going to come over. And I was like, okay, I'm mentally ready to watch the movie, you know? Yeah. And it was beautiful. And it made me cry at the end at how good a job that they did. Because it ends on a hopeful note that, yes, this is now your life. You know that this is a constant mental battle that you're going to have the rest of your life. But all of these wonderful things are still possible for you to achieve. In spite of all of it, you're going to have all these wonderful things that are going to happen.
I think from a movie standpoint, they did a wonderful job. Jack Nicholson in As Good as It Gets.
Oh my God,
Same
I love
concept.
that. Yes. And I think, I love movies where they tackle mental illness and they show the ugly part of it.
Yeah.
But then also in showing that ugly part of it, also show, but there can be light. There can be hope around the corner. It's not all doom and gloom.
Yeah, the cool thing of that movie, spoiler alert, at the end where he opens the door and steps back and you just show all the cracks in the floor where he's put his foot.
Yeah.
And, all right, cool.
Yeah. And I love that it took the character, Helen Hunt's character, wanting to love him and seeing that he was trying. He went to therapy. He was trying and he wanted to try for her, which will lead to him trying for himself.
And a phenomenal line.
You make me want to be a better man.
Oh, God.
It's such a great line.
Why can't I write that?
Yeah. Oh. Well, it's like that scene in When Harry Met Sally, at the very end when he's running and he's out of breath and he's like, I love that you're cold when it's 87 degrees. And that whole line, that monologue at the end of it, just left me wanting to go, yes! But yeah, I love when you have a good line like that. You make me want to be a better man. Ah! And I think only Jack Nicholson could have done that.
Oh, good God. No.
I can't, and it's the same thing. Jack Nicholson will forever be one of my favorite actors just because of the here's Johnny and, you know, you can't handle the truth. I think some of those lines, there's nobody else that could offer those lines the way he can. There's no way. And Roy Schneider with, we're going to need a bigger boat. There are just certain lines that in books are fantastic. And then you get the perfect actor to utter them with just the right oomph.
The funny thing about the Roy Scheider line is that wasn't scripted.
Really?
That had been a running joke throughout the filming.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was... They had all this stuff, and the thing was, we're going to need a bigger boat.
Oh, yeah.
So he was just, you know, doing it, and he'd just kind of throw it off as an offhand line.
Yeah.
And it's the line of the whole book.
Yes.
It was perfect.
Well, it's the same way with Die Hard, which is my favorite movie, and come out to the coast, we'll get together, we'll have a few laughs, and he's sitting there in the air filter with the little flat, like, there are just some lines in books, like... If you've ever read Julie and Julia, and it's about an actual person named Julie who was a blogger. And so she decided one year when she got, what's the French cooking by Julia Child?
Yes.
Okay. So she got given this book, and so she decided she was going to spend an entire year, starting from January 1st to December 31st, cooking every single thing in this book. Okay? Like, and it is hilarious because some of them were just absolute dumpster fires. And her husband's gaining weight, and he's like, "What's our next meal?" But there's this one scene where she has to cut a calf bone in half to get the marrow out, and it's this bloody disaster, right? And her apron in the book is covered in blood, and she's got blood all over her arm, and like cow gunk everywhere. And she walks into her husband, who's waiting for this just overly ridiculously made dinner, and she goes, "It puts the lotion on its skin, or else it gets the hose again." And I remember laughing. I had to put the book down and lay down because I was laughing so hard I couldn't breathe. Because if you didn't know what book that was from, it wasn't funny. Mm-hmm. But if you knew what book it was from, it was absolutely hilarious. And I had to get up and leave the room because I was keeping my husband awake, and he's like, "It can't be that funny." And I'm like, "No, but it really is." And I love that books do that. Like, you have to have read this book to really appreciate the line in that book. Mm-hmm. And I love that. I'm the type of reader that will have that in my head somewhere and be like, "That's great."
One of the things that I like to do in writing is throw in little Easter eggs like that one person in 1,000 is going to pick up on it.
Yeah.
But for me, it's kind of a
yeah.
As I'm writing, and then it's so cool. I remember one of the people who reviewed my books pointed out, and the Easter eggs are just, yes! And it's just so neat.
Mm-hmm.
Just to give you an example, again, just sort of a stupid thing. It was kind of funny for me.
Yeah.
I'd mentioned before that the one character, Maggie
mm-hmm,
Hamilton, would be well played by Katherine Heigl. But her actual name is Margaret Hamilton, and she starts out as being this very sweet, lovable, and then kind of turns into a witch.
Mm-hmm.
Well, who was the person who played the Wicked Witch of the West in The Wizard of Oz? Margaret Hamilton.
Oh my God. I did not put that together. Brilliant. See?
So, if you read through the things, there are dozens of those.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, they're little giggles for me that probably nobody's going to get.
Yeah.
Or if they do, oh, cool. But if you get one of them, then you'll start looking for the next one.
Yeah.
And start looking for the next and the next. Then it gives you an excuse to go back and read it again.
Well, so Dan did that to me because he knows I'm a raging dork. And Sarah Addison Allen is my absolute favorite author in the entire world ever. And if I ever met her, I'd probably just puke. Because I would not.
You'd never meet your heroes.
No, because I would just I would lose all ability to be verbal. I just would, because I have every book she has in hardback. Like, I love her books. So in The Rift, there's this character that she gets to meet her hero and is shaking his hand vigorously with this, "Oh, I've read every book you've ever written, and you're the reason I got in it," and da-da-da-da-da-da, and is just motor mouthing as the whole time she's vigorously shaking his hand. And then finally her boss goes, "Stop shaking his hand, let go of his hand," and she realized that she completely nerded out. Mm-hmm. And I called down, I was like, "You're a dick." Because I know that's me, because he poked fun at me about, if I ever met my author, and I'm reading this going, "You asshole."
I did the same thing some years ago. He's died now, so I can say.
Yeah.
I had Chuck Yeager as a patient.
Yeah.
And of course, he's famous for being the first man to break the sound barrier.
Sure.
And I am completely starstruck.
Oh, I bet.
By General.
Yeah.
And I made a complete putz of myself.
Oh, yeah.
But at least he did sign my book, so.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you want to talk about making a putz of yourself? I literally, for the rest of my life, just want to crawl in a hole and die. So we are at the Southern Festival of Books, and so everybody's taking their pictures with this one guy. And I know that I know who this guy is. I'm sure that I know who this guy is. Could not come up with his name, and I was like, obviously he's famous, right? So I went over there with Danny, and I was like, go find out who that guy is, because I think, I was trying as a bookshop owner to meet every single author or writer I could, so that I could be like, I want to put you in my shop, this is what I'm doing, and I was trying to make networking connections, right? So we go over there, and I realize everybody else in the entire building knows who this guy is but me. And so I finally basically told him, like, obviously you're famous, can you just let me fall on my sword and tell me who you are, so that I can then go crawl in a hole and die of embarrassment because I don't know who you are? And he just laughed, and it's the author of House of Sand and Fog, Andre Dubus, Dubus. And when it dawned on me who he was, and that not only do I have his book on my bookshelf in my house, and that I've seen the movie, I just sat there for a minute, just, Jesus Christ. And just, I'm going to go die of embarrassment now. And Danny laughed at me, and everybody else just kind of chuckled. And he goes, no, he was so sweet about it. No, you're fine. It's totally fine. And I have a great picture with him, and he was really sweet, and he gave me his email address. He was just the nicest person ever. But I'm just like, oh my God, I know who you are. Jesus. And I was terrified of meeting TJ Klune too, because I was just like, I will make a complete ass out of myself, because I love TJ Klune and I love his books, and his books are some of the most beautiful books I've ever read. And if I met him, I will just be a complete idiot. And it's funny that, like, you say that, because you meet the people that you've read or you admire. I don't want to ever meet Henry Cavill, because he will never measure up.
You know you do. Admit it.
I really don't, because he would never measure up to what I have in my head. You know what I mean?
True.
So, well, we're about out of time, and I appreciate you so much for sitting and geeking out with me over books.
It's been a pleasure.
He's one of my favorite authors. You guys absolutely need to order these 2 books. Tell them your books again.
A Song That Never Ends and Roses in December.
Yes.
It's a 2-book series in the Hamilton Place family.
And they are fantastic, and you can get them at our website, thespineBookshop.com. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of The Spine Bookcast, and I hope you guys have a great day. Oh, and I'm going to do one more little plug. So if you've been paying attention to any of the previous episodes, you know that we have started fighting back against the book banning in Rutherford County. So we're doing 2 things. One, we started a project called the Banned Book Brigade, and you can find it on our website. And so what we're doing is you can either donate books that are on the 2 banned book lists that are on that page and donate them to the shop, or you can donate money to the Venmo shop, and I'll go get the banned books that are on those lists and put them in the shop. But regardless, those books are going to be available for free to anybody that wants them. I will not take a profit off of them, because I want to make sure that the banned books are available, even though the school libraries are being forced to take them out. And the other thing that we're doing is we are going to do a banned book sit-in on December 1st. It is an old-fashioned civil rights sit-in protesting banned books. And so I encourage everyone to show up and wear teal, which is the Banned Books Brigade color, or purple for the Rutherford County Library Alliance. Bring your blankies, bring your snackies, bring something to drink, and bring some banned books. And we're just going to sit and read and hang out and talk about why we love these books and why they shouldn't ban them. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you like, follow, and share this podcast. And thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great day.